love them unconditionally, be there for them. You have to let them know that they matter.
And we're rolling. What's up, Cassie?
What's up?
All right, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let's just start off by just introducing yourself. Tell us who you are.
My name is Cassandra Fuentes, 31 years old, currently reside in Riverside, California.
And you are, tell people who you are in regards to, your fiance and stuff like that, just to give people a foundation of where we're going with this story here.
Okay, so Stephen's fiance,
Stephen Osborne,
Stephen
correct?
Osborne, yeah. Been together for about almost 9 years. It would have been 9 years. I have a son together. Met him right after he got out of deployment. So our relationship kind of just stayed as being engaged for a really long time, which was fine. It just kind of worked for us.
Yeah. So Stephen served 4 years in the Marines.
Yes. So he served from 2008, I believe it was 2008 to 12, overseas, Afghanistan.
Okay. So he was a combat veteran.
He's a combat veteran. Yeah, he served with 3rd Battalion LAD, and I believe it stood for Low Altitude Air Force Defense. So he was over Afghanistan's Operation Enduring Freedom.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. OEF was Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So earlier we were talking. You were saying that you met Stephen just pretty much right when he got out of the Marines. Is that right?
Yes. So he got out in 2012. Met him maybe mid 2012, but our relationship really didn't take off until late of 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you guys have a boy together.
Yeah, we have a little boy. His name's David. He's about 6.5 now. So he was both of our pride and joys. He is our pride and joy.
Okay.
So.
All right. So let's talk about what happened, because obviously we're here. You're here because you're, I consider you a veteran spouse. I know you guys were just engaged and stuff, but, fiance, spouse, same shit pretty much, right? And we want to bring about awareness to what spouses go through, as a veteran spouse. And in your case, your fiance was a combat vet that seems like he was struggling with PTSD.
Yeah, it was hard to see. Like I had mentioned prior, like it was a decline. Like it was a very slow decline that I really didn't see too much of up until a few years ago. Overall, Stephen was initially when we met, he was a happy person. He was a loving person. Not to say that he wasn't before, after everything kind of happened, but the decline was difficult to see. Just seeing, his perspective on life from before to now, it was difficult.
And what was that? What can you give us an example? Like what kind of what kind of changes did you see specifically?
So, just literally like enjoying life, loving life, to having a lot of like resentment, having a lot of anger. He was constantly on edge. We couldn't go to a restaurant without him having to scope out his surroundings. Certain holidays were very hard for him. Obviously, anything that had to do with fireworks, it was difficult. He was always kind of prepared for like, okay, this is going to happen. Even though he knew what was going to happen, it still caught him off guard. He was a lot more angry about certain things in life. He was, I think, more so upset that he couldn't enjoy life like he used to. So that's a lot of what I started to see. It was just a lot of anger. And I think it was more so just toward life. Like it just got overwhelming for him.
Did Stephen ever talk to you about what he went through overseas?
Briefly, it was really difficult for him to talk about it. Anytime he would mention anything, it was more so, like, you wouldn't understand. You're not going to understand. You're a civilian. You don't know what I went through. You're not going to understand what I had to do, what I had to see. And the one thing that really stuck out all the time was literally him telling me, if you have a 10-year-old kid coming up to you, pointing a gun at your face, you don't have any choice but to take care of what you need to take care of. And I think that stemmed a lot afterwards because of the things that he had to do. And having to come home and having to live with that, I think it just really fucked with him bad.
When you noticed Stephen going through these changes, did you understand at the time what was going on with him? Why he was going through these changes?
Briefly, yeah. And I think it's hard as like a partner or a spouse to fully 100% understand when the veterans themselves shelter those feelings, shelter what they went through, because they feel like nobody is going to understand, And I used to always tell him, I may not fully understand what you're going through. I'm not going to understand what you did, what you saw, what you had to do, but I can try. Like, let me try to understand a little bit. As hard as it was for him to share anything, the little bit that he shared was, I think, more than enough for me to get an idea of what was going on inside his head.
It sounds like he might have had an idea of why he was feeling like he was feeling. Did he realize it was connected to him being in combat?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially, getting stories and how he was before the military. For example, like his family, his mom, his sisters, or his brothers. Stephen was, he was a great kid. He was such a sweet person. He was never angry like this, His faith was strong in God. Like, it was like night and day, basically what they said was before when he went into the military, and then afterwards, it was two completely different people. His mom at one point did share with me, like, she remembers when he got home, he would be laying on the couch, and she remembers like seeing or hearing him kind of like, he's having a night terror, like he's, going through it. And I think that was when she remembers seeing like something's wrong. Throughout the course of our relationship, there had been a few times where he would have the night terrors, the nightmares. He would whimper in his sleep. He would wake up, be jolted. And I'd have to be like, I'd have to like gently, like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Like, hold him, whatever. He would wake up just sweating, just terribly sweating. So yeah, there was a lot of change that kind of slowly started happening.
And you mentioned earlier they called him the minister.
Yeah. So after everything happened, I just started getting flooded with messages about how Stephen was in high school and how Stephen was in school. Everybody remembered him carrying a Bible on campus, always sharing like a piece of, the gospel with them. He was always willing and ready to pray with anybody who needed it. Like his family even remembers him with certain, family members that were on their deathbed. He would go and he would say like a prayer, like the sinner's prayer, like trying to save them. Unfortunately, the past couple years, his faith kind of disintegrated fully. I started to notice he was more so like reading into a lot of like Buddhism, like taking certain things from there, and then ultimately it became more like self-aware type of things where he was like, I just need to be more mindful and mindful this and mindful that. And then it full blown, just like, I'm an atheist.
Oh, wow.
I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this or that, heaven or hell. And for a while, at least for the past, I want to say at least the past year, it had been a year since he had told me that he was an atheist. And obviously, for me, I was like, dude, like, kind of took a blow, like, kind of like a blow, you know, to the chest, because I was like, you like, you really just gave up, you know. And it was hard to hear that. It was hard to read it, and I have no idea if it has to do with everything that he mentally was going through, and he felt like he wasn't getting that help from, I guess, religion. And then more so after his stepdad or his dad passed away. Yeah, it got a little bit harder for him there too.
What are some of the things that that you started to notice? Like earlier, you mentioned the playlist and stuff that you called him out about on Spotify. Can you talk about some of those things that you noticed leading up to the event or incident?
So the week before it actually happened, we had went to the Santa Fe Spring swap meet, and you know, I thought I was having a good time. So we got home that night, and he immediately went to the couch and just laid there, like started falling asleep again. And I'm like great, I'm gonna lose him. Like, that's it. He's gonna go into this depressive stage. I can't let that happen. So, you know, I follow him on Spotify. So I went to his profile from my phone, and I opened it. And I was like, well, maybe if I put some of his songs on, like something that he likes to listen to, he'll get up off the couch. Like, we'll sit on the table. We'll play games. We'll do whatever. We'll have a couple beers. As soon as I opened his profile, the first thing I seen was a playlist, and it was titled My Goodbye Playlist. That was at least a week prior to everything happening. I did address it, but he kind of shrugged it off like it's nothing. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, he was getting kind of upset, and he was just like, why the fuck are you on my shit? And I'm just like, I'm just opening. I'm not on your phone. I'm on my phone. I'm just looking through to see, you know, let's put some music on. Let's get you out of this funk. Let's, you know, you were fine earlier. Like, let's not get you into that state of mind again. And I told him, I go, well, I wanted to put music on. He's all, but I told him, well, what is this? Like, this doesn't sit right with me. Well, you're tripping. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, it is a big deal. I go, and this really, like, this is throwing me off guard. Why did you name it this? I didn't know what else to name it. You literally could have just put an emoji or something. I go, that's a very specific title for a playlist. And then I opened up the playlist, and I'm looking at all these songs, and they're just nothing but like depressive songs about why should I even be alive. Basically, that was like the theme of the playlist was, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Better off gone. So that was probably like the real big flag. I didn't see much until after, when I kind of went through his YouTube. He had playlists, you know, he was researching certain videos about my right to die, or living with the disease, my right to die. How is it to die? What is it like? Those type of things. Had I seen those playlists on YouTube prior, maybe it would have been a lot easier to intervene and kind of figure out how to help him through what he was going through.
Yeah. So walk us through this, the incident that day, if you don't mind.
Okay. As many times as I do tell, or who I tell, I guess it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, get into as much detail as you want, or not, you know, just, it's, you know,
right.
We need to take a break, we'll take a break.
No,
Just, you
yeah.
know, very informal. Just.
So that day, it was regular day. I mean, from what I thought, you know, went to work, was texting him throughout the day. I think I literally had just paid for his like cell phone bill. Like, I was paying the bills, and he was like, hey, I need to pay the bill. Paid the bill that day. Picked me up from work. But as soon as he picked me up, I seen it in his face. Like, he was bothered. You can see there was something going on with him. And I just remember, like, hey, are you okay? Are you good? Yeah, I'm fine. As we're driving, like, his driving was off Normally he's fine. He'll talk with me, whatever. He was braking, like his driving just wasn't, like, it was very inconsistent. Like, it just wasn't normal. And as I'm looking at him and I'm just staring at him, and he's literally just like rubbing his head like this the whole time. And I'm like, you good? Like, you got a headache? You want to stop to get some Motrin? No, I'm fine. I just need to get to the VA. Like, maybe if I get to the VA, they're going to give me something else for these headaches. All right. But I still remember looking at him, and he just had this like look of like he distraught, or I don't know, like if he was just fully clearing his mind of everything. And his mindset, I want to go to the VA. All right. So as we're driving, and I'm still seeing like he's just not driving good. I'm just like, pull over, man. Like, I'll drive. You have a headache, let me drive. It's fine. He insisted. No, I'm fine. I'm going to drive. So, of course, I continued like, are you okay? And I can see he's kind of getting irritated that I'm asking if he's okay. As we get closer to our exit, again, the inconsistent driving, the braking not on time or wrong. And I go, Steven, like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you okay? And he snaps, like, shut the fuck up. I'm fucking fine. I already told you I'm okay. And I was just like, I'm just asking if you're cool. Like, you're worrying me with your driving. And he gets mad again. I fucking told you, you fucking this and that. Like, I'm fucking fine. I already told you. There's nothing wrong with my fucking driving. And I'm not even going that fast. And kind of just, he snapped. He lost it. So from our exit to our house, it was about, I don't know, like 5 minutes. It was just an ugly argument from there to our house, just like back and forth, like, him just telling me, shit, like, shut the fuck up. And I told you I'm fucking fine already. What the fuck are you staring at? And stop fucking staring at me. And, just going off. So we got home and I was pissed. I mean, obviously I'm mad. My son's in the car. He's hearing all this stuff. So I told him, like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, you're going to have to find your own way to the VA, because you're not going to talk to me like that in front of my kid. Like, we got things that we have to do too. And I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not. And again, I thought it was just a typical argument. He's having a bad day. Going to give him his time to cool down. So, we got to the house, and it was the same conversation. I'm not taking you. I'm sorry. Like, you're going to have to find your own way to the VA. You're not going to treat me this way. I'm sorry. You have a headache, but I'm not doing this. So I took my son to Target, and on my way to Target, I did try it with calling him, and he was mad. He would answer the phone, and he's telling me to shut the fuck up, all this stuff that he was already saying. Got to Target, parked, called him again after texting him. Called him again, and he answers the phone angry and just starts yelling at me like, what the fuck do you fucking want? I'm like, I want an apology because you blew up for nothing. Like, there was no reason for you to blow up how you blew up. I was just asking you if you were okay. And he's just mad, just yelling at me. I remember telling me on the phone, just hurry up and do what the fuck you gotta do. Hurry up and do what the fuck you gotta do. Repeatedly. And I'm like, no, like, you're gonna keep talking to me like that, then I will be there when I get there. Literally, that's what was I was like, you know what, Steven, I'll just be there. I'll be there when I'm there, once I'm done. Okay, so went inside Target. I was in there for maybe about 10, 15 minutes, if that. And soon after we were in, I got a text message. And the text message read, the heading was my final cry for help. I didn't even fully open the message to fully read it because it was lengthy. And as soon as I seen that it said my final cry for help, I dropped everything, grabbed my son, drug him out of Target, got in the car, and raced home. I mean, I don't think I've ever driven that fast in my life. I kept trying to call him over and over. He wasn't answering his cell phone. I called our Alexa. The Alexa picked up, but all I heard in the background was loud music. I mean, blaring music. I just remember I kept yelling. I kept yelling through the Alexa in the event that he would hear me. being that the music was too loud, he wasn't going to hear me. So I hung up, I called again. The second time I called, I remember hearing like sobs, like faint sobs over the music. And all I remember was yelling, "Steven, answer your phone. Steven, don't do this. Don't do this." But knowing that the music was loud, he wasn't going to hear me. I got home. I parked the car, left my son in the back seat. I jumped out of the car, and the security gate was locked. Our main door was open, security gate was locked. I can clearly hear everything, the music. I don't know if he did it to buy time. I don't know why he would have locked the door. So I had to get the keys, unlock the door. And when I walked in, he's playing the music on the TV. So it was really loud. It was super loud. And initially I didn't see him where he was at until I fully panned the room. I just remember kind of like yelling for him, like yelling, "Steven, where are you?" And then that's when it hit me that he was at our table and he was sitting, he was slumped. He was slumped over on the chair. I thought he might have overdosed because there was a shit ton of really strong beer on the counter or on the table. When I got closer to him, I had seen to the left there was like a couple bottles of pills. So my first instinct was he overdosed and he's vomiting, he's bleeding, whatever. So I seen him, freaked out, obviously, ran out to get my phone to call 911. My son's still in the car. I'm screaming bloody murder. I need somebody to help me. My neighbor helped. So as she was finishing the 911 call, I ran inside, pulled him off the chair because my mindset was he overdosed. I'm gonna perform CPR. I'm gonna do some chest compressions, whatever I can do to save this man. But by the time I got him on the floor, for whatever reason, I didn't pay attention to the amount of blood everywhere until I got him on the floor and I saw the entrance wound. At that point, I knew there was nothing I was going to be able to do to bring this man back. He was gone. As hard as it was, as much as I wanted to save his life, there was nothing I was going to be able to do.
Right. Were the cops there at this point? Not yet.
He called 911 on himself at about 4:13. It was a 5-minute phone call. We live 3 minutes from the police station downtown Riverside. So from the moment he called 911 to the moment he sent out that text, and mind you, he didn't just text it to me, he actually posted it in his unit's Facebook page. He posted it on there. So by the time I got home, I found him. We called 911 again. They showed up about 5 o'clock, maybe, because I got there slightly after he texted me. And that's what was kind of like mind-boggling in a way, because he called you guys at 4:13. I show up between like 4:40, 4:45. The officers got there closer to 5.
Wow.
I want to know why it took so... First of all, like with me, I was just like, why did it take so long for anybody to get over there? We're 3 minutes away from the station. How did I manage to get there before they got there?
Right.
Which is a whole different situation that I have to clear up. But
You still don't have the answer to that?
no, I'm in the process of trying to get like the transcripts and stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, were you able to hear what he said on the call?
I haven't yet. I haven't had the opportunity to fully get that. But yeah, They got there. I'm clearly on the floor. I'm covered in blood.
Yeah.
I'm literally holding his body, trying to figure out how I'm going to bring him back. And all I remember was this unit just like rushed through my door with their weapons drawn at me. Just, drop your weapons, drop your weapons, drop the firearm. And I'm looking at them like, the fuck do you mean drop my weapon? What weapon? Like, I don't have anything. I don't know where the firearm is. I mean, I went straight, like, I blacked out. I don't remember seeing anything but him, you know? So I have no idea where the firearm is, you know? So eventually they get me up off the floor and, you know, and after that it was kind of a wrap. There wasn't really much other than them questioning what happened and, you know, how did we get here, and taking pictures of like my cell phone and our messages. And then, you know, at one point like, oh, we need to treat this as a homicide.
That's
because
gotta be the most difficult thing.
It was it's like a slap in the face in a weird way.
They're treating you like a suspect.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So they're like, I'm covered. I mean, it's dry. I mean, I'm dried. Like, it's like from elbow to my hand, and they wouldn't let me clean up. They were like, well, we need to take pictures. And I'm like, what? And they're like, we know that this is most likely a suicide, but because of how it unfolded, like whatever, we need to take photos. So they're like, they put me up against the wall. They're like taking pictures of my hands, my arms. It was hard. It was hard.
That is that's a really, really tough situation. And I'll tell you, because I was a cop for 15 years, it's from both perspectives, is because they're right. They have a job to do. And then unfortunately they don't really know what happened for sure yet.
Oh yeah.
And so that's even hard for a cop to be like, fuck, I gotta fucking question this girl like she's the fucking suspect, right? Because there's been cases that he or she has been, you know, plenty of cases, you know, so, but just, you know, obviously you knowing that you're not, and that happened, like, I couldn't imagine what that feels like for you, you know, like.
At that moment, I didn't feel much. I was numb. I was shocked. My brain fogged. I couldn't really, it was, I don't know, I guess because of the amount of, like, I was hyperventilating. I was just like, whatever. Do what you guys gotta do.
Did someone show up to take care of your...
Yeah. I have my family in Riverside, so my cousins get there. Luckily, I'm surrounded by a lot of family out there.
Yeah.
So they got there immediately. The cops helped me with my son. Obviously, he was still in the car. Luckily, it wasn't a hot day because I would have been really bad. But he was calm. I mean, obviously, he sees his mom running out of the house, trying to figure out what's going on. But I had my family get there, and they took him, and they took our dog back to her house. And then the rest of my family kind of got there, and they all kind of just showed up to be there. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you think about now? We spoke earlier. I know everybody in hindsight always looks back and thinks about what they could have done differently or places blame on them. And I get it. But what are some of the things now that you've noticed that may have been a red flag? You know, you talked about looking in some of his accounts or YouTube and stuff, but you didn't see that until after the fact, right?
Yeah. It's a hard, I guess it's like a hard question to answer because there really isn't necessarily like a lot of things that were starting to stick out all at once. It was like little things here and there. Like, you know, he was starting to lose like the enjoyment in life. He wouldn't want to go places, like I mentioned. The aggravation got a little bit worse, for sure. Just irritability, the mood swings, those things. And that's when I kind of started to know, I was like, this is getting bad, you know. Habits that he was starting to pick up was also a flag. Drinking, literally just not wanting to participate in life was something that I did notice, but it's hard it was hard to correct it, or it was hard to help correct it, especially when you want to help them, you know, a veteran or anybody dealing with any type of PTSD or depression, because they immediately they shut themselves out, and it's hard to want to give that help to somebody, not knowing if they want it, if they want that help. But
did you seek any type of guidance to try to figure out how you can help him during those situations? Did the VA provide any type of programs or anything?
the VA, not necessarily through the VA. Stephen was getting one-on-one help with a program called Headstrong, and they're one-on-one like psychiatric therapists that I guess it's contracted with the VA. I don't know if it's forgot what it's called, but it's not TRICARE. So basically, it's where, like, you know, the VA will pay an outside source for coverage, right? So that's what was happening. He was getting that assistance because he wasn't getting that one-on-one therapy with the VA, and that was the big thing for him. Was I just want one-on-one therapy. I'm tired of Zooms. I'm tired of being, you know, having to talk over all these other veterans that most of us aren't even dealing with the same problems. So when he got with Headstrong, he, I guess his therapist told him, like, hey, you know, there's groups, or there's sessions that, you know, they'll cover for partners, spouses, whatever, to get assistance as well.
Oh.
So I got in connection with Headstrong to start doing like spousal support sessions, and it was really to learn, or kind of trying to figure out like how to deal with the episodes, how to deal with PTSD, how to respond when they're having a hard time, how to try to figure out if they're being just jerks or if they're having a moment with PTSD.
Yeah.
You know, and it was hard, I'm not gonna lie. Like, half the time I was like, is he just being an asshole today?
Yeah. Did
You
the
know?
program impact you at all? Did it help at all?
A little bit. I mean, it was
Yeah.
a lot of times the session turned into like something else, you know, and it's just like, well, okay, what am I getting from this? And it was mainly more so like teaching me how to like control the situation, with like how to control my own reactions to when he was having a moment. So that's kind of where it stayed, where it kind of ended. And I tried. I mean, we tried. It was hard though, because like he would do his sessions, and I would hear him do his sessions, but then he would be done, and then we'd go right back to like bumping heads.
Yeah.
And it was always one of those things where I'm like, why are we doing these classes if nothing is being applied?
Right.
And then he would kind of just,
You know, a lot of
say it
times
over again.
people have really good intentions and they put together these programs because they know there's a problem in this general area, but the program might not necessarily be too impactful, you know, because there's a difference between, you know, going through a scenario and then actually being embedded in it at home,
Right.
and trying to put some stuff into practice, you know. Did you get connected with any spousal support groups since the incident has happened?
Since the incident actually happened, I did connect with, it's called TAPS. I'm not exactly sure what it stands for, to be honest. I think it's like it's basically like assistance for spouses who have lost, and not just spouses, it's family. It's a family, I guess, program.
For veterans, is it?
It's for families of veterans
Okay,
who've
gotcha.
lost somebody from suicide or battle or things like that. Like, it's kind of like grief counseling. So I actually just signed up for it, and I don't think the first session is until June.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm kind of just taking whatever
Yeah.
little bit of assistance that I can get as far as dealing with the loss.
Yeah, it's fairly recent, right? This was March.
March 10th.
Yeah.
I think it's harder for my son, you know, because that's the main reason why I'm trying to get the assistance as far as help, therapy, because he's the one who's really going to need it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about some of the stories you've heard from, Stephen's friends and stuff from the military on, what Stephen was like, before maybe going to combat or while in the military. Any memories and stuff that you want to talk about?
Yeah, a lot of them, it was pretty similar. And I think his attitude or his personality, it spoke for itself with how he was. Like they were telling me like, how much he would goof off, or, he wasn't staying where he needed to stay because he was always on patrol with the guys. His MOS was just like a supply clerk, I guess. But from what I was told was that Stephen did not really stay in his, like where he needed to stay, because he wanted to be out in the field. Like he wanted to be out patrolling. He was with the guys, and the majority of them, even after they were all out, I mean, they all like my inbox was like flooded with like messages like Osborne was like this, like Osborne, he was always reaching out to make sure I was okay. He was always checking up on me, making sure that I got the help that I needed. So he was, remembered for that. Like he was a goofball. He liked to mess around, especially when they were out and about. So they don't think I really had they never really had anything bad to say about who he was.
What kind of father was he?
He was an amazing father. Despite what he was going through mentally, he never allowed that to interfere with the type of dad he was. He was involved, like, with everything.
Yeah.
He helped me with homework with my son, and he would, take him on adventures. My son, he keeps saying, oh, like, we're going to go on an adventure, mommy. Like, me and daddy are going to go on an adventure. He was an amazing father. From the moment we found out that I was pregnant to few days before he passed away. I think the last pictures I have of them, like they were taking selfies together, making funny faces, like the silliest faces, because we had this thing where I'd always tell him like he looks just like me, like telling him like, oh yeah, no, David looks like me, and he's like, no, he looks like me. So they had this photo shoot and they were making silly faces together, and he's just like, you see, put that on Facebook, people are gonna say he looks like me. And I was like, stop, like just stop it. But I look at those pictures, I look at them and I'm like, even then, like even in that moment that you were trying to make your son happy and make your son laugh, internally you were suffering. But that never got in the way of the type of father he was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was an amazing father. Like I can't say anything bad about how or the type of dad he was. And, and that's the one thing that I want my son to know, was how amazing his dad was. He was an amazing father. He taught my son how to ride a bike, He, was trying to teach him how to swim. A lot of like the little milestones was because of Steven, taught him how to tie his shoes, taught him how to do certain things, was trying to teach him how to wash dishes at one point. So that's where this is going to be hard, is because he doesn't have his amazing father anymore, So my heart, my grief really comes because of what he's going to miss out on.
Yeah. Can you recall some of your happiest memories with Stephen?
Yeah. There's a lot. He was a goofball. Our big thing was like we would quote movies all the time. It doesn't matter what it was. We would watch Step Brothers, and it's like we would put it on and immediately it's like, okay, well, why are we even watching the movie? We're just going to act it out. Grease, oh man, Grease was one of our big movies. I have like video clips of him singing, like,
no way,
Hopelessly Devoted, and like crawling on the floor and like randomly surprising me singing. So
oh man,
he loved that movie as much as he would like act like he didn't. Like that was our movie, that was his thing. So
when the boys hear this, they're gonna give him shit.
That's fine. I'll send him the video. We had a good relationship. We did, and it's like, those are the things I'm going to miss. Like, I guess just like having our nights in, like after David was well asleep, and then we'd be like, all right, go get, like, I would send him to the store. He'd be like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't care, just bring me anything. He'll get mad. No. What do you want to drink? Because I'm going to buy something, you're going to waste it, and that's it, you know? So he would like come back with like a 12-pack and like a couple Fireball shots, and we would watch movies, or we would play like Nintendo 64. Like that was our relationship. Like we were big kids.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of happy memories. I don't think I can really pinpoint like one or two.
No, it's you know, it really, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like, you know, like in the end and stuff like that, it's all those little tiny moments that really matter, right?
Oh, for sure.
You know, watching movies together, you know, just spending time together and being goofballs and stuff, like, you know. Yeah, you mentioned some stuff that your son mentioned too that makes me, it really surprised me. Like he's a super smart kid. He's what, 6, you said?
He's 6 and almost 6.5. He'll
Almost
be 7 in
6.5.
December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you made me realize like, wow, how a 6-year-old processes this, because what earlier you mentioned, you know, tell me again about you guys were at the restaurant.
Oh, this kid is too much. So, well, that's me and my best friend. We went to go eat. Dave was hungry. He wanted Applebee's, so we went to Applebee's, and we're just talking, like having a conversation about like work things, and David's playing on the little Applebee's like I guess kids can like purchase games or whatever, and just out of the blue, like we're eating, out of the blue, he turns to me and he goes, "Mommy, I won't be mad if you have a boyfriend." I'm like, "What?" Like literally, we just like stopped, looked at each other, and we're like, "What did he just say?" He's like, "Yeah, I won't be mad if you have a boyfriend. That's okay." And I'm just like, "Why are you telling me this? Like, why? Where is this coming from?" He's all, "Well, if you have a boyfriend, that means I can play with him." You know, so those little comments, you know, just seeing his behavior around other males, other, you know, father figures, lets me know that like this is already affecting him in so many ways.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
He has a lot of like separation anxiety. He wants me to pick him up from school. He has meltdowns. It's hard for him to, I don't know, I guess process that daddy's not back. Daddy's not coming back.
Yeah.
You know, he worries about me. He tells me, "Well, I was just nervous." I'm like, "Why are you nervous?" And he's like, "Well, I'm nervous that you weren't gonna come back." And that's just going to like Walmart. I met with like my best friend. We went to Walmart. It might have been a week or so, maybe a week, maybe a couple weeks after everything happened. And it was late. It was like, I don't know, 9:30. So I told my mother-in-law, "Hey, like I'm gonna run to Walmart really quickly. David's already laying down. I need to go to the store and get some stuff." She goes, "Okay." Wasn't even at Walmart that long. She called me. She's like, "Hey, he's having a meltdown." I was like, "What?" I go, "He never does." "No, he wants to know when you're coming back." And I can hear him. He gets on the phone and he starts wailing. I mean, wailing like, "Where are you? Why are you taking so long? Like, when are you gonna come back?" And that's when I knew that this is it's gonna take a toll on his mental health, honestly. Because I had went out again. My mom stayed at my house and watched him, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go grab a drink." The entire time he saw me getting ready, "Well, why are you going? And how come you have to go? And well, can I go? And well, I just don't want you to go." You know, like he's legit, I think, just traumatized at the fact that she's not gonna come back. What if she doesn't come back? And it's hard to explain to him that I will, because I mean he already doesn't have one parent, you know. So he's freaks out.
It's just so crazy how smart these kids are, you know, for him to even be able to process what happened and to make a comment like it's okay for you to have a boyfriend. Like, you know, he's clearly missing that figure in his life, you know, and for a 6-year-old to process that, it's just mind blowing.
It's crazy because I'm like, you're 6, like you shouldn't even know like boyfriend, girlfriend. Well, maybe they would, but for him to like oh, it's okay for you to have a boyfriend. What do you know like what a boyfriend is?
Yeah.
You know, like what do you think boyfriends do with like girlfriends or mommies or whatever it is? But in his mind, it was nothing more than, well, I want you to have a boyfriend so I can play with him. You know,
Yeah.
and it's literally coming from him missing his father and hanging out with his dad and playing with his dad and going to the park and riding his bike, and it blows my mind with like the things that he says, and I'm just
Yeah.
like,
What is you know, any advice that you can give to other veteran spouses that may be in the position that you were in, right? Being partnered up with a combat veteran, trying to manage PTSD, you know, now looking back at it, you know, I don't really want to ask the question, would you do anything different? Because, you know, that leads to kind of like you kind of placing blame on yourself. And it's, you know, I could tell you it's not your fault all day, like we talked about earlier, but you just got to go through those emotions. But what would you tell other veteran spouses that might be dealing with the same situation that you were in?
honestly, don't avoid the signs. Don't, as much as it might seem like, well, he has no interest in me, or don't take it the wrong way. Don't look at it like he's just being a dick. Don't. Try to talk to them. A lot of times their behavior, their actions, sometimes their silence is the biggest form of asking, like needing help. Try to talk to them. It might be hard. Find help for yourself on how to get through it with them, how to react to whatever it is that they're going through. Especially when they have, it's not just PTSD, it's their anxiety, they have depression, you know. Do whatever it is that you feel like you can do to get them the help that they need. Don't sit by and just, and how do I put this? Like, whatever it is that's being said to you, whatever arguments, whatever, don't take it to heart necessarily. Like, they really need, they're sick. They need help.
Yeah.
Whether it's you advocate for them. The VAs have patient advocates. A lot of these, you know, spouses, a lot of these veterans don't even know that there's like a patient advocate area in the VA hospital. Take them down there if they're not getting their appointments done. Go with them to the doctor's appointments. A lot of times they get told no, and they kind of just take no for an answer, and they go with it. You know, they feel like nothing can be done. Well, they told me that I can't get an appointment. Well, they told me this. No, you have to be their voice. As a spouse, you have to be that voice for them, because they don't have one. They don't have their own voice. It's hard. Love them unconditionally. Be there for them. You have to let them know that they matter, that they're not a burden, you know. And as much as I told Steven all the time, you know, you're not a burden. You know, I'm not going to desert you. I'm not going to leave you high and dry just to rot in your own mind, you know. But this disease is strong.
Yeah.
And if you let them sit in the back of their mind, you're going to lose them, you know. Don't wait till they're gone to try to make things better. You got to do it while they're still here.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I usually ask if there's any last words you want to say before I cut the tape, but I mean, those are some great last words right there. That's some awesome advice to other spouses. I mean, that was excellent.
Not much.
Well, hey, thank you for being here, Cassie. You know, I can't imagine how difficult it is to sit down here and tell this story. I mean, literally, like 2 months after this incident, that takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage. So, but you're gonna impact a lot of people, and hopefully a lot of other veteran spouses see this, and you know, even if it just helps one person, then we've done our job, you know.
Of course, and that's where, unfortunately, with his loss, he wanted his story out there. He specified in his suicide letter that he is hoping that his story and what happened and everything like that will bring change, some type of change
It will.
to the VA, to whatever it may be, because there's so many other veterans out there that are suffering, dealing with the same thing. A lot of veterans who probably don't even know they have PTSD. You know, they need to know the signs and the symptoms themselves and not just think that they're crazy,
Right.
because they're not. And it really sucks that the VA is so quick to turn their back on their own. You know, you guys served your country. You guys came home and just got thrown back out there like, well, figure it out. You know, it's you guys go through all this training to become these machines out there. You guys are programmed, and then for them to send you guys back home and expect you to deprogram yourself is it's sick. It's messed up. And I really, really hope that his story can impact as many people as possible. And again, given the circumstances and how everything happened, it's like he still wants to help other veterans that are contemplating making this decision. It's not the only option.
Right.
They don't want to take their own lives, and that's what I've learned. Veterans, people who are dealing with like suicidal ideation, stuff like that, they don't want to die. They just don't want to feel what they're feeling anymore. But without the proper resources, they just become another statistic.
Right.
So
We'll end it there. Thanks again, Cassie. Really, really appreciate it.
no, thank you for having me.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Red light, no way, I'm coming back home. Long dirt road, all on my own. I'ma be the greatest, write my name in the stone. Write my name in the stone. Yeah, I'm coming back.